Hello everybody, and welcome to Conahey Rail 2020. And so, I'm sure you guys have seen pictures by now. You will notice a big drastic difference in this area, what I call horseshoe curve. No relation to the real horseshoe curve. So the biggest thing that I've done is I put all the controls and electrical in one area. So that originally, if you remember, was in here, and there was a blue curtain hiding it when I originally built this thing back in 2015. But when I went dual mainline, I created this bridge here, and then the swing out bridge. And then, of course, when I closed the bridge, the controls are on the wrong side of the bridge. So if there's a derailment out in this area or over here, then I have to either step over the bridge or open the bridge every time there's a derailment. That got to be real old real fast. So I took all the controls and electrical and everything out from under here, and I moved it to over here. And while I had everything apart, I was using 20 gauge feeders. So I upgraded to 16 gauge feeders. And for those who are not familiar with electrical wiring, the higher the number, the smaller and the thinner wire, the lower the number, the thicker the wire, and the more strands of wire that's in the wire itself. So, with that being said, 20 gauge wiring is actually smaller in size than 16 gauge. So I went 2 gauges up in wiring size. That was to eliminate any possible power issues later on if I wanted to run passengers or smoke or multiple locomotives, multiple trains, but I didn't want power issues. People were asking, what am I running here? Pretty much, you see it, there's a Lionel Legacy. Everything's Legacy only at this time. These are the switches for track 1 and 2. I plan on putting in amp meters for both of those tracks, and then volt gauges as well, so that's why there's plenty of space here. And I'm also saving room for 2 remote switches, because eventually I am going to on this switch and that switch right there, so it's this one and this one, I'm going to end up putting Gargraves or DZ's 1000 switch motors is what was recommended. So that's what I'll do there. And probably in a distant future, I will add a siding here, but that's way off in the distant future. And for power, I'm using the Lionel 180 watt bricks. I got one for each track. There was guys asking if they could use one brick for 2 tracks. You could. I went down that avenue, but the problem with that is if the train on mainline 1 tripped the breaker, then it's going to stop mainline 2. Then you got to restart both trains over again. That also gets old real quick, so I just went ahead and bit the bullet and bought a second 180 watt powerhouse, and I got one for each main line. Probably thinking about splitting the mainline number 1 into 2 sections and adding a third 180 watt. But as you see, there's plenty of room to do that. How am I powering my accessories? I am using a Lionel ZW 250 watt. Before you think that's overkill, I was using a Lionel TW 175 watt transformer, but however in 2017, after a few too many accessories were added, it went far beyond its watt rating on the transformer, so I had to go to a bigger transformer. So yes, it takes a 250 watt ZW just to power up all the accessories on Conahey Rail. And so far, I have not peaked the ZW yet. But like again, I was saying, I did peak out the 175 watt in 2017. So I had bought that, and it was just refurbished, so I got a good deal on that. The second thing you'll see is that I decided to put in more shelving. And right now, I'm not worried about material mismatching. All this eventually will get painted one day. Not sure when. Right now, I'm just taking a break, taking a rest. So I decided to add the shelving and display my Conrail limited set, my Lionel Conrail limited set that was made in 1987. And so that's the display for it. That's what originally started this Conahey Rail venture back in 2015 with a set that I always wanted to buy, and then it just blew up into this Conahey Rail high rail O-gauge layout later on, 5 years later. Right there where you see the flags and the track for decoration, that's actually an access panel, 2 screws, and that panel comes out, and I can go underneath on either side of the layout. So I did leave myself an access panel. And then over here is this more storage for when I'm switching cars on and off. And so far, everything has actually worked out. Mainline 1 and mainline 2 have been tested successfully. All the accessories have been tested. So that was pretty much a success. And the other thing that I've done different here to Horseshoe Curve is I added another section because I know that here in this area and here this area, the curved track overhung a little bit, and people were a little worried about the train taking a dump if it derailed. But if the train was going to derail, it would derail this way, not that way. But I went ahead and extended it and then put, these wood dividers up. So if the train did come off, it would literally hit this and it wouldn't go anywhere. But, knock on wood, there you go. I never had a derailment on Horseshoe Curve. It's always been pretty much solid. So that's everything that's been new and up to date on Conahey Rail. Also, I was watching a live feed on Facebook from Greenlight Collectible Diecast Cars, because that's what I use on Conahey Rail. People were always wondering what cars am I using. Most of my cars are Greenlight Diecast Collectible Cars. They make a lot of great variety in 1/43 scale. However, they only make a limited amount, so if you miss it, it'll be a while before they make a rerun of the same car again. It usually takes a couple of years before they come back out with something. But at any rate, that was the one thing I always wanted to do, was these Hollywood scenes. And then I put cards on there, as you guys remember, describing the scene. Greenlight had announced that they're doing a 143 scale Brady Bunch car. So I'll probably end up getting that. The station wagon. For those who are too young to remember that show, it was a sitcom from the 70s. So, and they had this, I don't even know what kind of station wagon it was. I think it was a Ford Country Squire wood station wagon. But yeah, they're coming out the Brady Bunch station wagon, and they're actually doing another Hollywood car, which I can't remember at the point of this video, that I'm also interested in. So I only pretty much use Hollywood cars of movies that I watched or shows that I watched. I'm not getting crazy and buying every Hollywood movie car that Greenlight's making. So because you can actually get crazy with that stuff. They make a ton of Hollywood series cars and some neat stuff. But that's the future plans of Conahey Rail. For this section, I still have, as you guys remember, but I'll say it again. I gotta get 2 more switches for over here, so I can switch trains in either direction from main 1 to main 2, and then that'll be complete. I still have the scene underneath of this bridge to finish up. This is just like a half-assed. This ain't staying this way. I'm going to make this a lot better than what that is. Also, I restarted on the cornfield again after the project stalled out for 2 years, because the way I was doing it would take me forever. But this way should go faster. I just got to save up a little bit more money and get some more miniature corn. And that should finish out that scene. A lot of people are asking where I got this combine from. It was an O-scale-ish combine that I actually found on eBay. And I believe it's made by Earl. But it was a cool piece that I ran into. And it's pretty realistic. I like it. So I wanted the combine actually going through the cornfield. And then I added this tractor and wagon to this field over here where the farmer's plowing, and a figure. So I'm getting into doing scenery as well. And scenery like here you'll see that I put a fence in on the Purdue grain facility yard. So I'm putting a fence in. I'm putting in speed limit signs like that. Also, I'll show you one more sign. Here you go. Firehouse Sign. So I'm putting up more signs and details, because as things are going along, I'm getting, I have enough rolling stock that I can start concentrating on scenery, because I'm sure people know where I'm going with this, is that you always seem to buy the locomotives or rolling stock and you worry about scenery later. But I started doing scenery because I wanted the layout to start coming alive. It started getting a little stale for me, seeing just a blank, piece of green everywhere with no ballast and no grass and no trees and stuff like that. So it does make a difference, and it's when you start doing scenery, I noticed it makes you want to more ambitious to continue with the scenery. So as funds come along, you know, it's no longer a juggle for, you know, do I use it for scenery or do I use it for trains? You got to sort of like balance it out, because sooner or later you're going to get to the point where you got all these trains and you're running on a layout that's all open. And I learned that about 3 or 4 years ago, and I started doing scenery. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with me for this video. Like I said, this is a quick update video, and hope to see you guys later.